pop on summer's biggest new hit.
I'm gonna nominate Ice.
He just tried to do me dirty.
It all leads to one celebrity getting
Expelled.
all new Nation's Dumbest Wednesday after MasterChef on Fox.
And now the transfer of the chastity belt and crown from last year's winner to this year's winner.
Finally, I'm free. My mandatory year of celibacy is up.
Mandatory year of what now?
I wonder if I should stop liking her. Nah, I could wait a year. I once waited 3 years for Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
A teen charged with 2 murders in Chelsea will be tried as an adult despite being 16 years old when the alleged crimes occurred. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday night. For Fox 22 News at 10, I'm Doug Banks. According to state police, 43-year-old Christopher Hunwell and his adopted son, 22-year-old Ty Carter, were found by state troopers dead inside a Chelsea home back in June of 2025. The teen accused of killing them is 17-year-old Jason Hunwell. He was a cousin to one of the victims who had taken him in. According to court paperwork, multiple factors were considered, including potential threats to public safety. There is no set timetable right now for when a trial might proceed. A person is dead after a head-on crash in Randolph. Kennebec County Sheriff's Office Chief Deputy Chris Reed says authorities responded to a 2-car crash at 76 Water Street in Randolph Thursday, a little before 2 p.m. According to the report, all of the people were still trapped in their vehicles. Reed says 62-year-old Deborah Alexander of Gardner was driving one of the vehicles, and despite life-saving efforts, she passed away at the scene. Her passenger, 18-year-old Troy Simons of Gardner, was transported to Maine Medical Center with severe injuries. Reed says 51-year-old Marion Porter of China, who was driving the other vehicle, was taken to Central Maine Medical Center with severe injuries. Reed says the preliminary investigation shows Alexander's vehicle drifted into the oncoming lane and struck the other vehicle head-on. The crash remains under investigation at this time. In other news, 5 people managed to escape without injury after a fire broke out at a home in Hudson back on Wednesday. According to Hudson Fire and Rescue, they received a call for a working structure fire on the Upper Cross Road in Hudson early Wednesday morning. Upon arrival, crews found heavy fire on the right side of the house. Chief Deputy Thomas Reed said 2 adults and 3 children made it out without injuries. According to Reed, the location of the house did present some challenges. He said the narrow and rough road made it difficult for trucks to turn around. He added that some mutual aid crews had to walk, quote, quite a distance, end quote, to get to the scene. One firefighter was transported to a local hospital for evaluation. The fire is under investigation, but officials say it is believed to be accidental. In other news, an HIV outbreak in Penobscot County continues to grow. A new case of HIV has been identified in Penobscot County, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 45. The Maine CDC says 91% of those diagnosed since 2023 have used injectable drugs, and 91% are also facing homelessness. The majority of those in Penobscot County living with HIV also have hepatitis C. 82% have been able to receive care. More information is available on the Maine CDC's website, including resources for testing and care, as well as safety tips and how to know if you're at risk for HIV infection. Meanwhile, after 45 years of serving some of Bangor's most vulnerable populations, the Together Place has been forced to temporarily close their doors. On Friday afternoon, they announced that they fell short of their funding goal by $75,000. This puts a pause on many of their vital services, including meals, local resources, recovery services, and shelter. Leaders of the organization are adamant that they're not going to give up on their mission or the community they serve. Their doors will temporarily close, but board president Shay Mullaney says they're aiming for this not to be a permanent goodbye.
It's an intrinsic part of recovery. We have a responsibility. When somebody needs help, our hand is always there. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we've been doing and hopefully continue to do. We love Bangor. I love Bangor. This has become my home. And I am honored to give back. This is the place where I got sober. This is the place where my life changed. And I just want to give that back to everybody else here. We all go through together.
And according to Mulaney, the Together Place does plan to reopen when it's possible. They're still accepting donations, and they say that every little bit helps get them further to that goal of reopening. To learn more, visit togetherplace.org. $30 million is on its way to 11 rural hospitals here in Maine. The money from the Department of Health and Human Services is intended to help strengthen the long-term financial health and sustainability of rural hospitals across the state of Maine. The Department of a statement from DHHS says the hospitals were invited to participate after an analysis of key financial factors. The agency identified hospitals that would benefit the most from this one-time investment. Millinocket Regional Hospital, Mount Desert Island Hospital, Northern Light A.R. Gould Hospital, and Maine Health Penn Bay Hospital are among those recipients. Meanwhile, expecting mothers and doctors are calling it a crisis here in Maine. 9 maternity units have closed across the state in the past few years. This means longer and scarier drives to hospitals with delivery units. As Allison LaPierre reports, community leaders want to prevent another one shutting down on the Mid-Coast.
Efforts are underway to try and save a Mid-Coast Maine labor and delivery hospital.
And I want to be very clear. We are asking as loudly as we can for Maine Health's board to not close labor and delivery services at Lincoln Hospital.
Nurses and doctors, community members, and state leaders rallied outside Portland City Hall this morning. They hope to prevent Lincoln Hospital's Miles Campus Birthing Center in Damariscotta from closing.
I am optimistic that with the motivation of all of us, Maine Health will change their position and work with us to save labor and delivery in Damariscotta.
The Maine Health Board continues to discuss the future of the facility's birthing services. In a statement sent to us, a Maine Health spokesperson wrote in part, "At Maine Health Lincoln Hospital, the review of labor and delivery services remains in our established governance process. No final decision has been made." Several mothers living in rural Maine say there's not a lot of options for giving birth.
I was living rurally. The hospital had closed. I had to drive into the city, which was 45 miles away, and it was a terrifying ride. Is the car going to stop? Am I going to hit the traffic into the city? Am I going to get through the city without sirens and people stopping us?
Numerous state leaders addressed the concerns, including U.S. Democratic Senate nominee Troy Jackson.
Healthcare is essential, and in rural Maine we are struggling, and we have to have places like Miles stay open so that we can have people continue to live.
The rally finished with a march down Congress Street.
In other news, the school year is right around the corner. As students head back to the classroom, they will have to follow a new state law, the statewide school cell phone ban. And one school district in southern Maine is adjusting to the new law. Allison LaPierre again has a story.
From the morning bell to the dismissal bell, all Maine students will now be required to put away their cell phones. The state's new bell-to-bell no-cell law began August 1st. The law requires every public school in Maine to prohibit students' phones, smartwatches, and other internet-connected personal devices for the entire school day.
I do think it's time.
Lewiston School Superintendent Jake Langless hopes this policy will bring fewer distractions for students.
Yes, it's the law, but the goal is that while we're at school, we're here to learn. And it's disruptive to be on your phone.
The law was signed into effect by Governor Janet Mills as part of the state's supplemental budget. Governor Mills says the new policy will help students stay focused while giving teachers the time to focus on teaching.
Statewide ban on cell phone use during the school day, bell to bell, to reduce distraction and disruption and keep children's attention focused on learning.
Some schools in Maine already have cell phone policies in place. In Lewiston, students in kindergarten through 8th grade are already prohibited from using cell phones during the school day. Now, all students will be required to put them away.
Being consistent is critically important. You don't want to have, cell phone zones where there's just the teacher not enforcing the ban. So consistency matters.
There are some exceptions to this law. Students may use devices if required by an individualized education program, a Section 504 accommodation, a documented medical need, or in some cases to support language translation for English learners.
At the end of the day, that not just kids, but their parents and their guardians will also say, this is the rule, and you're at school to learn, not at school to check on your phone.
Maine is now one of more than 20 states to adopt a bell-to-bell cell phone ban.
And that was Allison LaPierre reporting. In other news here on the broadcast, food insecurity is a growing problem here in Maine. According to a new report from Feeding America, more than 200,000 Mainers didn't know where their next healthy meal would come from last year. Our Alex Schley has more on the findings and how local organizations are trying to keep up with the growing need.
Thursday, Feeding America released the findings of a study looking at growing food insecurity in Maine.
That's a change from about 190,000 people to 203,000 people, right? So about 13,000 people more who are not certain where their next meal is going to come from. We also see in that number 50,000 children.
McCarthy says the recent findings were based on numbers collected during 2024.
So what we know from firsthand experience here on the ground is that hunger is likely even higher than that in today's reality because those numbers don't reflect federal changes to food programs that have gone into place in the last 18 months.
McCarthy says the study reveals that rural communities, specifically those in Washington County, were adversely affected by individuals facing food insecurity. Chris Street, the nutrition director for Eastern Area Agency on Aging, which provides Meals on Wheels for residents in Penobscot, Hancock, Piscataquis, and Washington counties, say they have seen this firsthand.
Especially for those on our Meals on Wheels program that are really in deep need of good nutrition, that the referrals that we've seen come in for that have increased by about 100% over the last 2 years. We used to average about 20, 25 referrals every single month. And we're starting to get into the 50 to 60 per month across our four counties.
Street says while the increased demand is putting increased stress on nonprofits, they are continuing to work every day to help Mainers in need.
To see people struggling to get the food that they need, and in seeing that not even just being food insecure is their only issue, but it's a root cause of many of the other problems, health concerns that they end up having.
Alex Schley reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
All right, folks, let's turn things over to Chase Ropenak, who's in now with the first look at your forecast. Chase?
Thank you very much. Some cloud cover started to work its way into the state for today, but still had no issues warming up. Mid-80s here in Bangor. You see that all the way into the northern tier of the state as well. Lots of us in the mid-80s from Millinock and Holton, Presque Isle, and the Clayton Lake. And we saw that continue into the southwestern portion of the state. A few of us in the upper 80s. Freiburg at 88 for today. But for tonight, a few of us can see a shower or thunderstorm out there. We still got a slight chance for tonight because more of the stuff gets really going for tomorrow. Here's 9 a.m. Some thunder showers will be pushing through the Bangor area, and we'll see on and off thunder showers throughout much of tomorrow, throughout your morning into the afternoon, into the evening. Here's 1 a.m. where we can still see a few storms throughout Monday nights, but they will be coming to an end, and high pressure will take its place going into your Tuesday. But for tonight, the winds will be a little light out there at times, but into tomorrow, we're really picking up that breeze from the south-southwest, gusting near 30 miles per hour. We'll see this mainly during the afternoon hours, but wind will continue throughout your Monday night into your Tuesday. So out there for tonight, we're seeing the lows stay warm. High dew points keeping us in the mid-60s. A few showers are possible overnight, but better chances heading into tomorrow.
Good to know, Chase. Thank you for that report. We'll see you later on the broadcast. Folks, after the break, we'll take a look outside the state at some national stories. We'll be right back.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust. We get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Quirk Chevrolet is celebrating America 250. For 250 years, America has been built on hard work, and Chevy trucks are built for it. Save over $8,400 on Chevy Silverado Custom for full-size strength. Or choose a mid-size truck ready to work like the Chevy Colorado. Save over $4,600. Looking for pre-owned? Head to Quirk Motor City, where you'll find over 400 high-quality vehicles featuring advanced safety, smart tech, and low miles. From Bangor to Portland to Rockland, together let's drive. It's your Chevy. Find it at Quirk.
Your internet experience feels different, ultra reliable, lightning fast. With Fidium 100% fiber, everything you do online works exactly like it should.
Night, bud. Zach, go to bed.
So is cable internet still slowing you down? Enough already. Fiber up to Fidium. Get a 2 gig plan for only $65 a month at FidiumFiber.com.
When the morning light hits Maine, start your day with a good morning, Maine. Craig Colson, Janessa Bishop, by your side, bringing the stories that matter statewide. Local news and the forecast ahead. Wake up informed, ready to go on ABC 7 and Fox 22.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. I'm Doug Banks. To national headlines now. Police have reported 3 people died and 7 more were injured in a shooting near a recently opened restaurant in the state of Idaho. Fox News correspondent Max Gordon has the latest.
What happened? What's happening? Shoot. Go. Just go. Go.
A shooting near an In-N-Out fast food restaurant Saturday afternoon in Twin Falls, Idaho left multiple people dead and injured. The restaurant location just opened up last week. Police say the suspected shooter is dead.
The suspect, 24-year-old Chad Williams, is deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Officials say there are hundreds of potential witnesses who may be interviewed.
Based on the information currently available, there are 3 victims that are deceased. 7 others are injured. 2 of those patients have been treated and released. 3 are in stable condition, and 2 are in critical condition.
They say the incident is still under investigation.
At this time, we are still working to determine the full set of circumstances in this incident, including the suspect's actions and possible motivations.
Video shows dozens of employees fleeing the building and what appears to be the suspected shooter holding a long rifle while reaching into a car. Witnesses say they were scared for their lives.
As I was running, I faced the shooter head on and he pointed the gun at me, and I ducked behind a white car just to have some sort of coverage.
He popped one shot at the vehicle, and that's when I ducked down, told my 2 little brothers to duck down.
The president of In-N-Out sharing in a statement that one of the people who died was an employee, saying in part, she died while taking care of our most important asset, our customers, and her life was taken by a disgusting human who doesn't value the lives of others or his own. Officials say they will release more information as it becomes available. Max Gordon, Fox News.
In other news, President Donald Trump says a deal with Iran may be imminent after calling off a new round of strikes on the country. Trump says America's allies asked him not to go through with more attacks, signaling a potential new sign of peace. Take a look.
It was asked by Saudi Arabia, by UAE, by Qatar, and by Iran. We were all set to go just about at this time right now, and a massive attack. But when the allies asked to call it off, we got to sort of say, well, let's see. And the reason they asked is I think there's a deal. There's a deal on Hormuz, and then there will be a deal on the nuclear, or you might call it the denuclearization. I call it the denuclearization. So we're holding it. We'll just see. Anytime we want. But we're asked by the 3 primary groups. We're also asked by Iran, very strongly actually. They said we'd like to make a deal. Now, I don't know what they say, because a lot of times they'll say that to me and then they'll go out and say, we don't know what he's talking about. Obviously they don't want to be attacked. And they knew the extent of the attack because they saw it forming.
Was there a deadline, sir?
And the deal is eminent, having to do with the Hormuz Strait and also ultimately the denuclearization. So when I hear that, I say, well, we want to go and be this. Now, there's a group of people that would like me to just do it. And there's another group of people that does not want me to do it.
This comes as Iranian officials say the Memorandum of Understanding, previously signed in June by Iran and the United States, could be back on the table after both sides suspended the agreement last month amid renewed strikes. In other news here on the broadcast, authorities are sharing notes received shortly after Nancy Guthrie went missing. As the search crosses the 6-month mark, the County Sheriff's Office there and the Guthrie family say they are still looking for answers. Fox News correspondent Max Gordon again has the story.
According to the Pima County Sheriff's Department, the 2 notes reveal distinctive patterns of word choice, syntax, and phraseology, and there are hopes that someone might recognize the writing and come forward to investigators. The note sent on February 2nd reads in part, "Hello, Savannah. We have your mother, Nancy. She is safe, but scared." The The note sent on February 6th then says, "She perished shortly after she was taken. We believe it was heart-related." The notes were originally sent to the local CBS affiliate in Tucson. In a post commemorating 6 months since her mother went missing, Savannah Guthrie writes, "Someone recognizes the writing in the ransom demand notes. Someone has noticed something different, strange, troubling, or just unusual, perhaps with someone they deeply love. Perhaps they are afraid to come forward. Perhaps they are conflicted. Perhaps they are angry or upset for being in this situation. There is a way out. To tell what you know, you can do so anonymously. The reward is available." Along with tens of thousands of videos still under review, investigators remain focused on 2 doorbell camera videos showing a masked man at Nancy's door the night of her disappearance, and potentially also from a different day. The Pima County Sheriff's Department says that the videos are critical to our understanding of the unidentified male's behaviors, and they indicate he took steps to prepare for the event on the night of January 31st to February 1st. In a newly released video, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos says they're releasing all this information now in the hopes it'll jog someone's memory.
We're still here. We are not going away. If you could just see the team working, you would see the energy, the concern. They're fired up, and we'll continue to work this case hard.
Law enforcement is asking anyone with information to come forward and share what they know. 6 months after Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, there's still been no suspect named and no sign of the 84-year-old. Max Gordon, Fox News.
Still to come here on Fox 22 News at 10. This weekend was all about the state berry. Our Grace Blanchard visited a farm in Penobscot who took part in Maine's annual Wild Blueberry Weekend. And maritime history was on display at the Bangor waterfront today. Those local stories, the weekend review, and your full 5-day forecast is still to come here on Fox 22 News at 10.
I went to work in the woods after high school. The harder we worked, the more that the companies took from us. That's why we organized. We made them listen. People are doing everything they can right and still cannot get ahead. Susan Collins keeps telling us everything is just fine. Who has she served? She has served Donald Trump. She has served the billionaires. She has served herself. We are getting screwed, and I'm running to change that.
Government That Works PAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
Mounjaro for type 2 diabetes.
Going up?
Actually, I'm going down.
Yeah, me too. My A1C's under 7%.
Mounjaro?
You know it.
My man.
Hey. Ouch. Since I started taking Mounjaro for my type 2 diabetes, I'm a bit of a Mounjaro magnet.
I lowered my A1C and I lost some weight. Check out my pants.
I'm good. Never a dull moment.
With Mounjaro, 3 out of 4 adults reached an A1C under 7% and maintained it. And some lost up to 25 pounds.
Like this gal right here. Nice, Mom.
Don't take Mounjaro if you're allergic to it, or if you or someone in your family had medullary thyroid cancer or multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or vision changes. Serious side effects may include inflamed pancreas and gallbladder problems. Taking Mounjaro with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor if you're nursing, pregnant, plan to be, or taking birth control pills. And before scheduled procedures with anesthesia. Side effects include nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting, which can cause dehydration and may cause kidney problems.
Hey, Mom, what do you say we take the stairs?
Stairs is a great idea. Ask your doctor about once-weekly Mounjaro. Paid partnership with Lilly.
Cancer affects everyone, but there is hope at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center's Champion the Cure Challenge, where every dollar raised helps patients in our own backyard. Make a difference. Walk, run, or cycle August 15th in Brewer. Visit ctcchallenge.org.
You're watching Fox 22 Bangor.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. I'm Doug Banks. To local news now. As summer in Maine reaches its peak, one of the state's most treasured agricultural resources begins its prime as well. Our Sam Miller has the story.
From late July to early September, Maine's fresh wild blueberry season is in its prime, and local farms are already hard at work.
We're a third of the way through our harvest and probably still have another 3 weeks to go.
Williams Family Farm in Clifton has started their blueberry production process, gearing up for a season that drives a large portion of the state's agricultural economy. While most growers sell their berries to processors, the Williams farm does everything from start to finish themselves before delivering them. Every day, blueberries are harvested and offloaded by the truckload. According to farm co-owner John Williams, this is where the real fun begins.
We put it through the process line. The machinery does a lot of taking the leaves and the sticks out, and even takes a lot of the green berries and soft berries out. And then by hand we have to finish and get the remaining stems and green ones out before they're packaged in a quart. It's basically ready for sale at that point.
On Thursday, the farm delivered 2,600 quarts of blueberries, their biggest yet. Williams says this is a great sign that the season will be fruitful.
It's a very good season. It's a good crop. You know, whether it's someone small like us or the big growers, it's going to be a good crop. And last year was an awful season, so that's going to be a big boost to all the people. It's much needed.
Williams Farm is open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. In Clifton, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And this weekend has been all about the state berry. Since 2021, Governor Janet Mills has proclaimed the first weekend in August as Wild Blueberry Weekend, in celebration of wild blueberries and the main processors and growers that harvest it. Our Grace Blanchard went to a farm in Penobscot yesterday and has the story.
This weekend, people across Maine are celebrating Maine's state berry.
Blueberries are great. We love blueberries. But also just like supporting the local farmers who are putting so much work into growing the blueberries.
August 1st and 2nd was proclaimed by Governor Janet Mills as the 6th annual Wild Blueberry Weekend.
Just learning about the pretty big piece of the economy that you don't always see. You just see it in the grocery store, but you know, there's real people behind the scenes making it happen.
Among those people behind the scenes are the owners of Blue Hill Berry Company in Penobscot, who have been farming certified organic wild blueberries for nearly 3 decades.
We're trying to certainly help the industry overall by raising awareness and appreciation for, what is our native crop.
Maine produces nearly 100% of all wild blueberries in the U.S.
You have specialized equipment that harvests the berries. We bring them in here to our facility. We have the equipment that specially processes them. This is called fresh pack blueberries.
Last year alone, Maine farmers harvested 55 million pounds of wild blueberries. Lindholm hopes Wild Blueberry Weekend puts a spotlight on the farmers driving this sector.
It's not an easy industry to survive in as a grower, so getting to know who the growers are and what it takes to produce this fruit is something that I hope everyone goes home with.
In Penobscot, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news, the arrival of the Harvey Gamage schooner on Friday also kicked off a celebration of America's 250th and the Penobscot River's maritime history. The Penobscot Maritime Heritage Association's multi-day 4-port loop event encourages folks to visit the 14 riverfront ports of the Penobscot River. Stationed along the Brewer Riverfront today was the world's largest 3D printed boat, constructed by the Advanced Structures and Composites Center of the University of Maine, highlighting the future of marine technology. Local road teams also offered free lessons on 32-foot gig boats in Bangor, part of the regional efforts by area groups to expand the rowing community.
I hope they see us out there having fun on a gorgeous day, and they're like, geez, I'd like to get involved in that, and then to check out some of the groups in the area and to learn to row.
It's really fantastic to remember the heritage of the maritime and the importance of that on our communities, and the Bangor Brewer area certainly came to be as a result of this river, Penobscot River, and all the commerce that it brought in. And actually within the last 10 years, both waterfront sides have really developed, and so they're a great place to come and do things.
The Maritime Heritage Celebration will conclude on Monday, tomorrow, but organizers encourage people to tour the historic towns along the 4-port loop all year long, and we'll have more about Harvey Gamage's stop in Bangor on Friday later on the broadcast. All right, folks, after the break, the weekend review. What stories made the list? Find out next.
Where's the ball? Release the ball. Let's get it on! It's Cash or Splash.
Quiz with Balls, all new Mondays on Fox.
A few weeks ago, I went down to the basement to see what was happening with the boilers and opened the door, and there was about 12 to 14 inches of water in our basement. I knew who to call right away, and that was Bouchard. They were here within a half hour. They work well with our insurance company. They're very, very efficient, and all I have to do is call them any time of day. They're going to take care of me. Our business is our life, and that's why I don't hesitate to recommend them to other people.
Troy Jackson bragged about being one of Graham Plattner's earliest supporters. When the news of Plattner's Nazi tattoo came out, Jackson stood with Plattner. When Plattner blamed women for getting raped because they get drunk, Jackson stood by Plattner. And when the media reported Plattner was violent toward women, Jackson stood again with Plattner.
I want to say thank you very much to Troy.
Don't be fooled by Troy Jackson. He's another phony we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
It's a big, big deal. Summer is a big deal at Toyota.
It's the final days of Toyota's Big, Big Deal Summer Event, where you could get a deal like an affordable $279 a month lease on a stylish Corolla Cross SUV with a $14,764 total contract cost. Summer's a big, big deal at Toyota, the longest-lasting brand with the best resale value. So see your New England Toyota dealer.
It's a big, big deal.
Toyota, let's go places.
We've got a 100-year-old company here, and it's because of the service, the quality, and the experience. It gets done right.
I think we've been doing it for so long. The only thing that we do, that when we walk into a room, we automatically know how to treat that window. We can take any product that the customer's looking for and make it work in just about any situation that they present us with. So
There's no reason to be overwhelmed.
No.
We can help you through it.
We're not going anywhere. We've been around for 100 years.
Welcome back and welcome into our weekend show segment, The Weekend Review. Where each Saturday and Sunday, we take suggestions to stories here at ABC 7 and Fox 22, ranging from breaking news to feel-good features that stood out to you during our weekday and air them in its entirety. First, it has been over 90 days since the second regular session of the 132nd legislature wrapped up. Per Maine statute, laws passed during that session are now scheduled to go into effect. Our Alex Schley brought us this story back on Wednesday.
Wednesday, dozens of Maine laws take effect, including those signed by Governor Janet Mills, as well as several that became law without her signature. Many of the changes stem from the supplemental budget, approved by lawmakers in April, despite being strongly contested by Republicans. Some of the most noteworthy changes include making Maine community colleges free permanently to residents, requiring public schools to adopt policies restricting student cell phone use, extending the Maine Affordable Housing Tax Credit, and making the administration's child care affordability program permanent. The new laws also authorize a one-time $300 relief payment for eligible Mainers, while imposing a 2% surtax on those who make more than $1 million. A series of immigration-related laws will also take effect, addressing agencies' compliance with federal immigration and customs enforcement. ICE out of policing creates a clear separation between state and local law enforcement and federal immigration laws and agents, barring the assistance of Maine officials in federal investigations and banning the use of Maine jails to be used to house federal civil immigration detainees. The ICE out of schools and healthcare creates protection for certain non-public areas of schools, healthcare facilities, and other non-covered locations, restricting access to federal immigration officers without the appropriate legal authority, and limiting the release of certain personal information. Lastly, ICE out of our homes laws prohibit landlords from sharing certain tenant information, including immigration status, with federal immigration authorities without a judicial warrant or other legal requirement, and bars retaliation based on that information. Other notable laws taking effect include funding for the state's first youth psychiatric residential facility, extending death benefits for certain Maine Department of Transportation employees, and creating the Office of the Child Advocate. While some of these changes will have an immediate impact, others will be phased in over the coming months. For a complete look at the new laws and how they could affect you, go to our website, foxbangor.com. Alex Schley reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Next, researchers at the University of Maine in Orono are developing groundbreaking technology that aims to meet the demand and interest in nuclear energy. Our Grace Blanchard brought us this story back on Wednesday.
This sensor technology is very cutting edge.
Scientists nationwide are trying to turn nuclear fusion into a real energy option. These small sensors developed by University of Maine researchers could be a big part in making that happen.
This is a great opportunity for the university to play a critical role in the full development of fusion energy as a viable form of energy production.
Nuclear fusion technology has the potential to generate 4 times as much energy as existing nuclear fission reactors. But experts are still searching for technology that can monitor and withstand the extreme heat and radiation damage it creates.
There are no commercial products right now that can satisfy the most demanding needs that these energy production facilities are required to have.
A new project at UMaine aims to change that.
The major goal of this project is to actually develop sensors that, as I told you, do not exist to monitor the process of fusion energy.
Researchers at UMaine have already been developing sensors capable of measuring and withstanding harsh environments, which they intend to use as a model.
This is a major contribution, right, that we have been doing consistently throughout the decades, but this particular one is an opportunity and a major contribution to our state and to our country.
Funded by Helion Energy, this groundbreaking effort gives students a unique hands-on experience while helping address the nation's growing demand for clean energy and power.
These sensors really are an enabler to a lot of these cutting-edge energy production systems to really becoming a reality.
In Orono, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Finally, it's never easy to say goodbye. But on Thursday, Bucksport's Public Safety Director Sean Gagan retired after 37 years of service to the community. Our news director, Susan Farley, brought us this story back on Thursday.
My goal from day one was just to try to leave Bucksport a better place, and I found it, and I think overall I did that.
Sean Gagan was sworn in as a patrolman in 1989 and worked his way up until he became Bucksport's Director of Public Safety. Along the way, he touched a lot of lives.
Director Gagan is far more than just a department head. He is a well-respected, well-trusted, steady presence of our community. And so there are countless amounts of law enforcement officers, public safety personnel, students and athletes who have benefited positively from Director Gagan's impact and mentorship.
Thanks to him, I am where I am today.
Sean is the type of leader that you want to work with and for.
Law enforcement officers, emergency medical technicians, and others, some that had worked for him and some he had coached from across the region, were all there as he made his final call.
After 37 years of dedicated service to Bucksport Public Safety and the citizens of Bucksport, your tour of duty ends today with your well-deserved retirement.
We weren't going to let him just slip out quietly. It's important that we demonstrate to him how important he has been to us.
As for Gagan's next chapter,
to go to work for RSU 25, work in the schools, spend more time with football. As my wife has put it to me, I'm going to have the time now to be a husband, a father, and a grandfather.
One chapter in his story is coming to an end, but another is just beginning. In Bucksport, Susan Farley for ABC 7 and Fox 22.
And that was our Susan Farley reporting. And as the Weekend Review segment continues, we'd like you at home to be a part of it. Didn't see a story you thought should have been included? Well, then email us throughout the week at weekendreview@wvii.com with what stories during the past week made an impact or stood out to you. Tune in again next Saturday night here on Fox 22 News at 10 for a new slate of local stories. All right, folks, Chase Ropanak, he's in next with your full 5-day forecast.
Some showers and thunderstorms stay to our north for today, but heading into tomorrow, we'll have a much better chance at showers and thunderstorms all across the state. When exactly are they going to get it started and how much rain will we see? We'll have those answers coming right up.
Mainers work hard. Our leaders should too. Like Senator Susan Collins, who just cast her 10,000th vote.
The first senator in U.S. history to reach that mark without ever missing a vote.
Collins worked with Democrats to keep the Gulf of Maine open for our fishermen, kept our shipbuilders on the job with new funding, and Collins expanded health care for rural Mainers. No drama, just hard work and results. Call. Ask Senator Collins to keep working hard for Mainers.
Since 1956, Bangor Federal Credit Union has been a part of many milestone moments. Whether it's been opening that first savings account, helping Mainers buy their first car, getting families into the home of their dreams, or helping set the stage for retirement, Bangor Federal's been there every step of the way. Serving families, friends, and neighbors since 1956, Bangor Federal Credit Union. You belong here.
Craving something delicious? Welcome to High Street Market, located at 167 Enfield Road in Lincoln. Breakfast options? Grab a cup of coffee and try one of our sandwiches or burritos. When breakfast is over, we're just getting started. Pizza, subs, burgers, and pastries. Come get lost in Danny's Beer Cave. Order online and save 10% off your first order. High Street Market, where your taste buds go to party.
Webb's RV Center has a 4-acre lot with over 75 previously owned campers all on sale, plus another 4 acres of new RVs and motorhomes. Webb's RV will take anything in trade. You can buy a camper anywhere, but be sure to buy your next camper at your local neighbor. A website can't service your RV, but Webb's RV will. And they have the biggest service department in the state of Maine to help you enjoy your RV or motorhome.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp.
Something stinks, and I'm not just talking about the food.
I don't want to give up.
We're going to start again, and we're going to rebuild this thing.
Kitchen Nightmares, all new Tuesdays on Fox.
Thank you very much. We are wrapping up the weekend for today with a nice warm day out there, mid-80s here in Bangor, and that seems to be all across the state as well. Heading north, you saw mid-80s as well in Holton, Presque Isle, and Clayton Lake, with some slightly warmer temperatures in the southwestern portion of the state, upper 80s for you in Freiburg, with that sea breeze coming into effect today, keeping you in the mid-upper 70s in Rockland and Bar Harbor. But for tonight, a lot of us staying warm out there as low pressure continues to make its way closer to our area. We'll get a lot of moisture in place for tonight, keeping lows in the mid-60s. Some of us can see lows near the low 70s in the southwestern portion of the state. But for tomorrow, it's going to be hard for temperatures to increase. A lot of thick, dense cloud cover with this low pressure making its way in. We're going to see scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout much of the day. So yes, temperatures will not really reach above the mid 70s going into tomorrow. So the average high right around the low 80s. Well, we're going to be below that for tomorrow, but no issues warming back up. Tuesday and the Wednesday, mid to upper 80s, low 90s Thursday into Friday. Our next low pressure system looks to arrive by Friday afternoon. So by Saturday into Sunday, we'll cool back off into those low to mid 80s, but still much of this week spent above average, excluding tomorrow. So here we are for winds out there tonight. There will be a little bit of a breeze out there coming in from the south, as we've seen out there for today. Tomorrow, the winds will really pick up. We're looking at gusts near 30 miles per hour throughout Bangor, off to the east near Machias, and to Holton as well. As we get into those evening hours, the winds look to really pick up along your coastline. Some gusts near 40 miles per hour that can make for some very high wave heights along the coastline. So be careful if you're walking out there for tomorrow. But tomorrow night, we're going to get more of that wind coming in from the northwest, and those winds can gust near 30 miles per hour overnight for your Monday into your Tuesday morning. So here we are throughout tonight. We cannot rule out a thunderstorm. There's a slight chance out there. We'll stay mainly dry throughout tonight, but tomorrow morning, 9 to 10 a.m. is when the action is going to get started. Some thunder showers will be passing through the Bangor area, and this will be on and off throughout much of the day. So you can see late morning into the afternoon, we'll continue to see thunder showers that'll continue to push off to the northeast on and off throughout the day. So there will be some breaks, but still expect lots of showers and thunderstorms throughout tomorrow. Here we are past midnight tomorrow night. The center of the low will be able to pass on through, but still a few thunder showers up north. But for many of us, will be dry going into your Tuesday. Here comes that high pressure, plenty of sunshine, no issues warming back up into your Tuesday afternoon. But how much rain are we going to see? More of it's going to fall in the northern and north central portions of the state, where you can see a half inch to 1.5 inches of rainfall. More of those higher totals, the more north you go. But here by Bangor and your coastline, a little bit less of an amount, closer to a 1/2 inch or so. Some areas can stay below that, but I do believe we'll see a little bit more rainfall than these models are showing. Don't be surprised if we get close to 1 inch with some rainfall here in the Bangor area. But for tonight, we got lows in the mid-60s, cloudy skies, maybe a thunderstorm or two, but more of the action is getting started tomorrow. We'll have plenty of cloudy skies out there, keeping us cooler with highs only in the low 70s, but thunderous showers that'll be on and off throughout the day, starting as early as 9 a.m. with those winds a little breezy, gusting near 25 to 30 miles per hour. So taking a look at your extended forecast, we warm right back up with high pressure replacing into Tuesday and Wednesday, mid to upper 80s then, and then we're in the low 90s for Thursday and the Friday. Our next good chance for storms looks to be Friday afternoon.
Something to keep an eye out for. Thank you, Chase, for that report. Well, it was a great day today to run across some lobster crates. The 79th Annual Maine Lobster Festival wrapped up today with its annual International Great Crate Race. And if you didn't catch our live broadcast of the event this afternoon on Fox 22, it's definitely a sight to see. Let's get to the results. In the super class, it was Owen Dakin from Wyndham crossing 31 crates. In the medium class, it was Blake Monroe from Owl's Head with 78 crates. In the light class, it was Mauve Poland from Cushing with 279 crates. And in the feather class from Rockland, it was Maverick Asplund crossing with a total of 6,050 crates. It seemed like he was never going to stop. Congratulations to him and everyone who participated in the annual crate race. And other sports news here tonight. It just went final. The Red Sox won 8-4 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. I believe that sweeps the series there. They are now 60-51, and they were absolutely hot in July, finishing with above 500 record for sure. And they had a 10 consecutive series sweep as well, which was absolutely incredible, especially compared to where they were at the beginning of the year. Now let's hope that they keep this hot streak going, because it is August and there's still a lot more weeks and months to go. So it'd be kind of terrible to see them be so hot now and then kind of cool off once we get to the fall. Because right now they're second in the wild card, which is a lot more impressive than they were at the beginning of the year. All right, folks, after the break, we'll be revisiting a conversation between our Jack Webb and Cooper Flag's trainer, Matt McKenzie. That conversation is next here on Fox News at 10.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails of quality holistic medicine.
Keep your boat safe, functional, and beautiful with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company. Your Hammond sales rep can help you choose the perfect lift for your boat. Shoremaster's exclusive Whisper winch offers the industry's smoothest and quietest operation. Add speed and convenience with a Shoremaster lift motor. And Shoremaster's modular Infinity design makes it easy to upgrade with accessories when you're ready. Take your boating experience to the next level with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company.
I went to work in the woods after high school. The harder we worked, the more that the companies took from us. That's why we organized. We made them listen. People are doing everything they can right and still cannot get ahead. Susan Collins keeps telling us everything is just fine. Who has she served? She has served Donald Trump. She has served the billionaires. She has served herself. We are getting screwed, and I'm running to change that.
Government that Works PAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails of quality holistic medicine.
Hit it! Jamie Foxx and Beat Shazam are back! $1 million! Can you beat Shazam? Hit it! Beat Shazam, all new Tuesdays at 9 on Fox.
Matt McKenzie, a state of Maine basketball legend in your own right? Madomic Valley as a player, Husson as a player and champion, Husson as a coach and champion. Then you get into the private training world, right? And you meet the Flag twins, you know, and that's kind of what you're more known for all of a sudden, right? That's almost what you're famous for in this area and honestly at this point across the country. And I want to take it back to the beginning, right? What is your first memory of the Flag twins? What was the introduction like? How'd you get to know them and the Flag family?
The introduction was I got a Facebook message from Kelly Flagg back when Cooper and Ace were in the 6th grade. And she said that she had 2 twin boys that were in love with the game. They were eager to continue to work on their skills. They were familiar with a player named Bryce Lozier, who was Maine Mr. Basketball Gatorade Player of the Year. And I had been working with him for years. And they wanted to kind of follow in his footsteps with regard to how he was working on his game. And so she asked if I would consider working with them. And the first time that I met them, Ralph Flagg, their dad, brought them in, and we kind of put them through the ringer, and they fell in love with my approach, and we just built this unbelievable relationship built on trust, truth-telling, and it's just been great ever since.
We'll get to this year, and we talked about it before, but for Coop, coming into his rookie season, obviously you're trying to adjust to NBA basketball when he was supposed to be entering his freshman year of college, right? I mean, what was the grind process like and the work like last summer to prepare him for an NBA season?
Last summer, we were really preparing for the draft combine, the team workouts, really kind of trying to mimic what those workouts would look like. And then obviously looking ahead at the NBA style, heavy pick and roll, isolation, trying to pick the brains of NBA coaches to see how he would potentially play, how they envisioned him playing in the league. So we really put together these workouts week after week that would kind of put him into game-like situations that he's going to see as an NBA player. And I thought that he handled last summer very well. It was a lot of work, and we prepared him the best we possibly could for his rookie year. And I think we did a really good job of that. Now, knowing what we know, post-rookie year, it's really going to allow us to do some different things this summer. So I travel out there on Sunday, and we'll get on the floor with a couple of his assistant coaches with the Mavs, and we kind of treat it like a team approach. And so they'll be able to kind of sprinkle in some of the different actions that the Mavs run and the defensive coverages, and then I can kind of tackle the skill development side. But again, going back to your question about last summer, it was a lot of work, but I think that he handled it very well, and he was very prepared, or as prepared as he possibly could have been for the rookie year, although that first back-to-back, that hit him right in the face.
Did it really? You got a story about that, or was that just something he was like, wow, like playing an NBA game back-to-back? Like, was that just something he, at the end, was it before he kind of raised a question to you? Was it after? He was like, that was a lot. What was that like for him?
Well, I think his first two welcome to the NBA moments were, number one, opening night. He starts opening night playing against Wemby, and seeing that kind of size, his first NBA game in front of the Dallas fans, I think that was a lot. And I think he realized, okay, this is a different level. And not that he wasn't ready for it, I think he was, but it was, wow, I'm here. And then also his first back-to-back, just what that does to your body. And, you know, the NBA game, it's so physical, it's fast, and, you know, it takes a lot, it takes a big toll on your body. And to have to go through 2 games back-to-back, I think that his body was like screaming at him. And so he had to kind of change his approach a little bit in terms of his sleep, his pregame routine, making sure that his diet is dialed in, so that way his body could just perform at a high level throughout those 82 games.
You know, you talk about the back-to-back, that welcome to the NBA moment. We talked about, you know, a moment where he needed some help, right? He called you, and I think you said it was after the Clippers game, or might have been LA. It was sometime in LA. Yeah. Can you share that story? Just about a time where, you know, Coop had to adjust and had a little trouble adjusting to the NBA game.
There were a couple different points during the season, and again, he's not afraid to reach out for help. He's not afraid to ask for another opinion. But we had a great conversation out in LA around the Clippers game. I think it was in the end of November. And it was more so just about him being as assertive as he needed to be on the floor, and understanding that in order for his team to play well, he needed to be aggressive getting to his spots. It was okay for him to maybe take 1 or 2 bad shots from time to time just to figure it out. And you kind of saw that turning point out there in LA. I challenged him to shoot 16 shot attempts in that game. Well, he ended up having 16 shot attempts in the first half.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
It's a big, big deal. Summer is a big deal at Toyota.
It's the final days of Toyota's Big Deal Summer Event, where you could get an affordable $315 a month lease on a ruggedly refined, fuel-sipping Tacoma SR5 with a $16,024 total contract cost. Summer's a big deal at Toyota, the longest-lasting brand with the best resale value. So see your New England Toyota dealer.
It's a big deal.
Toyota, let's go places.
Still getting glitched by cable internet? Enough already. Fidium is 100% fiber internet. Ultra reliable, lightning fast. So everything you do online works exactly like it should.
Zach, go to bed.
Fiber up to Fidium. Get plans starting at only $30 a month at fidiumfiber.com.
A homeowner asks, my basement only leaks every few years. Do I need to fix it? Yes. Basements are dry most of the time, but to use the basement, you need it dry all the time, even during storms. Moisture could weaken your foundation, ruin belongings, and create an environment where mold thrives. But our system can keep your basement dry all the time. Call us today for all things basementy.
Thinking of buying a used car? Be on the alert for the potential for fraud with private vehicle sales. Knowing the signs of fraud and doing your research can help ensure you get a good deal and not swindled. Before handing over your hard-earned cash, thoroughly research the vehicle's history. And remember, if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. Brought to you by this station, the Maine Association of Broadcasters, and the Office of the Secretary of State.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Your goal is to put items in the correct order before, in between, definitely after.
This is The Perfect Line. Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Orono High School alum Ruth White is now a 3-time Maine Women's winner of the TD Beach to Beacon 10K. She finished the race yesterday in Cape Elizabeth at 34 minutes 5 seconds. The current University of New Hampshire star also claimed the same title in 2023 and 2025, so congratulations to her. The overall men's and women's professional titles were swept by 2 recent University of New Mexico graduates, Heptome Samuel and Pamela Koschi, who finished at 27 minutes 40 seconds and 31 minutes 50 seconds, respectively. In other news here on the broadcast, more than 100 riders took part in the annual We Ride for Vets charity motorcycle ride yesterday. Central Maine Harley-Davidson partnered with Jarhead's MC Dirigo crew to put on the 4th annual ride. Organizers say the ride is about more than motorcycles. It's about honoring those who have sacrificed for our country and giving back to veterans in need. All proceeds benefit the Maine Veterans Project, an organization dedicated to reducing veteran suicides through various programs and services. Oliver said more than 150 people took part in this year's ride. And according to Oliver, the event has helped raise over $10,000 for MVP over the last few years. And finally here tonight, it was a rare opportunity for those on board and on land as the gaff schooner Harvey Gamage docked at the Bangor waterfront back on Friday. Her arrival is part of an immersive tour of the Penobscot River, and those I spoke with hope it won't be the last.
It's something different to see her on the waterfront here on a Friday afternoon.
It was a spectacle for spectators as they watched the gaff schooner Harvey Gamage dock at the Bangor waterfront. She began her trip Friday morning in Bucksport. Her waterfront arrival is part of the 4-port loop put on by the Penobscot Maritime Heritage Association, which takes passengers on a voyage of the Penobscot River.
This was the interstate system years ago.
With stops in Bucksport, Searsport, Castine, Bangor, and Brewer. According to the association's president, ambitions to create the 4-port loop tour set sail 3 years ago when the Santa Maria traversed the Penobscot.
And it was so overwhelming in Bucksport you couldn't find a parking spot.
This year's immersive tour celebrates America's 250th anniversary. And he says plans are in place 3 years from now to honor the worst U.S. naval defeat prior to Pearl Harbor.
The Penobscot Expedition.
Built in 1973 in South Bristol, Maine, the Harvey Gamage stands approximately 91 feet tall and 131 feet long, a representation of the state's wooden boat-building tradition, serving as an educational vessel for over 5 decades.
And they learn how to jib the sails and manage the ship, and by the time they're through in 1 week, they can do it themselves.
Various vessels dock here in Bangor, but because of the height of the Veterans Remembrance Bridge, it's a rare opportunity when a ship like the Harvey Gamage makes its way to the waterfront.
We don't see them very often this far upstream, so it's a unique opportunity for spectators here in the community and from around the region.
The vessel began its return voyage to Bucksport at 2 p.m. In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And that is all we have for tonight. I'm Doug Banks, and from everyone here at Fox 22 News at 10, thank you for watching. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, and hopefully you are too. Until then, take care. Good night.
How many times has something broke down, but the right size tool is nowhere to be found? What you need is Red Dog, the amazing universal socket tool that fits, grips, and tightens virtually any fastener. And now may be your last chance to get one before they're gone. Look at all the different sizes and shapes, nuts, bolts, and screws. Any head will do. Red Dog grabs on tight and locks into place fast. It replaces hundreds of different tools tools, yet it's smaller than a battery. 54 telescoping steel pins mold around any object. Then, up to 150 pounds of torque knock out rusted fasteners. Attach the deluxe drill adapter and drive screws into concrete with ease. Don't let a stubborn project ruin your day. Red Dog grabs on tight. Plus, it tackles odd jobs with precision and speed. No more heavy toolboxes or guessing which size to use. With Red Dog, you'll never search or guess which tool to use again. Look, you could use a ton of different tools for this project, but we did it fast and easy with just one Red Dog. Amazing! You could spend over $100 for a socket set, or you can get the incredible Red Dog for just $19.99. But wait, there's breaking news. Red Dog may be discontinued due to rising costs and supply chain shortages. Red Dog is stopping manufacturing immediately. There's a strict limit of 3 per order while supplies last. You still have time to get your very own Red Dog, but you must act fast. Once the current inventory is gone, it's gone forever. The amazing Red Dog. Order now.
Call 1-800-709-0494. That's 1-800-709-0494. Or visit byreddog.com. So call 1-800-709-0494. Order now.
Half-off deals are waiting for you at foxbangor.com. Click on half-off deals and see how much you can save only at foxbangor.com.
You're watching Fox 22 Bangor.